Revolution. Hello, I'm Luke Darcy. Welcome to Access All Areas. Indigenous round started off with some controversy on Friday night, but there was still a lot of outstanding football played and some great individual performances. Damien Barrett, welcome to you.
G'day, Darcy. There were some great individual performances. There were some great team performances too, weren't there? None better than what we saw yesterday. Adelaide Crows coming from 30 points down in that last quarter against North to record probably the most extraordinary win this season.
Yeah, 20 seconds on the clock. You can see now Petrenko's the man who's going to get out the back. Atley let that one go, and the volley out of mid-air is just about the most extraordinary part of that. I think he said after the game he thought he was under pressure. They're hard to hit. Look at Brenton Sanderson's response there. Darren Milburn, Scotty Camporelli. They look like they've won a grand final. That's how big a win that one is for the Adelaide Crows.
Well, it was effectively that, wasn't it, Das? I mean, in terms of making the finals, they had to win that game, as did North. North didn't, Adelaide did. Adelaide now into 7th spot, North down the ladder. Let's take a look at North. That last quarter was a debacle, as previous games have been. Now, let's take a look at the last 3 minutes and 38 seconds for one of this exercise. You take it here from me.
Well, this is what Brad Scott will be doing with the tape. Take a look at Boomer Harvey there. Didn't man the mark up. Van Berlo plays on, and the Crows get the ball moving. Now, with freeze frame there, it's Richard Douglas and Boomer Harvey head-to-head. So you've got to push back. No Boomer Harvey. Douglas gets the footy, runs on again, gets a third handball receiving, kicks the goal, and Boomer Harvey just didn't get back and defend hard enough on that occasion.
And again, a minute later, scores still 12 points up North. Take us what
Michael Ferrito, one of the most experienced players, he just let the young boy Sam Kerridge go. Too much space, too much room, that part of the ground, uncontested mark. The young man Kerridge kicked 6 goals. Now, Drew Petry's got the footy here, Damo. He knows what to do. 40 seconds to go. You've got to get this as far away as you can and as close to the boundary, or hang on to the footy. Now, look, if you're being harsh, you'd probably say it could have been a bit closer to the boundary. But Goldstein, he's got to understand the intensity required there. He goes for a mark, should have been out of bounds. He had to smash that out of bounds. Play on's the call. Quick kick goes forward. Now, Sean Atley goes up, leaves his man on the ground. If you go in the air and leave...
What's he going to do?
He has to kill the footy. Yep. Has to take the footy with him. Out the back, Petrenko runs into an open goal. And Brad Scott, you'd be pulling your hair out. There's 6 basic errors there that North have failed the last 3.5 minutes of the game. And just a disaster for the Kangaroos.
They've thrown this season away. You can actually say that about North Melbourne right now. After 9 rounds, they have thrown this season away. There are 7 games there on that graphic there, Das, where they've had leads in all of them, and only one of those games they've had a significant lead in. Arguably, and it is arguably, obviously, they could have been a chance in all 9 games, Das.
Well, let's take a look at what the ladder would have looked like had they have won the close games. They would be sitting in 4th position on the ladder if they had been able to reverse those results. Even if it's a 2 or 3 wins, they're right back up in contention inside the 8. Some of the language from Brad Scott today, he said, I've got no choice, I have to hammer them because
What's their greatest deficiency, Das?
Well, he's saying mental fragility is what the coach is saying. And to me, you go through the tape, it's just the basic understanding of what is required at the right time of the game. And, it only takes 2 or 3 players not to do the right thing, and you get beaten in close games too regularly.
Buddy Franklin was out of sorts in the first half against the Gold Coast Suns yesterday, Das.
Out of sorts, mate. He's played the worst half I think anyone's ever played. And I say that with respect because he's one of the all-time greats, one of our favourite players. If anything could have gone wrong, it went wrong. Dropping chest marks, even he picks that up and runs around, and just another fumble. Could not have gone any worse for him. Have a look at this shank. That's as bad a shank as you get. This is all in the first half. And then finally, Damo, this is first mark. We've got 2 minutes 16 remaining in the first half. We'll play it again. They're Bronx cheers from the Hawthorn supporters. Who would have thought Buddy's getting the Bronxies in the first half? Now, do you think the supporters these days, if you decide to delay your contract talks, there's a little bit of an element where the supporters turn on you pretty quickly? Well, Buddy turned it around in the second half. He's ended up kicking 5 and was at his brilliant best again. But the supporters aren't that forgiving these days.
No, they're not, Das. I mean, they are getting annoyed that he has decided to delay all talks until the end of the year. I still think, I loathe it when a group of supporters gives their own the Bronx. Yeah. I hate that as much as anything in footy when it comes to supporters. But, yeah, you don't do that to Buddy, do you?
Still the lazy 5, Buddy, and one of the best players on the ground, as it turns out, in the end. Hey, some interesting coaching from Guy McKenna and the Gold Coast Suns. I want to talk about them a bit, Damo. They need a bit of respect for where they're going. Couldn't work out why halfway through the third quarter he's casually exiting the box. At this stage, the Gold Coast are leading the Hawks by a significant margin. And he gets down, gets the whiteboard out, And this is what they're doing at the moment. You've got to sometimes go eyeball to eyeball.
Back to the play.
Yeah, back to the play. And he's saying, I need to explain. The only way I can do it is to get down. A minute later, he's back up. Wouldn't blow a candle out Blue McKenna. And they're improving week by week.
The Giants are getting regularly smashed, aren't they, this year? Another big loss on the weekend to West Coast. This is just a comparison, year 2 of AFL life. Suns last year, we're dealing with only the first 9 games here. So that's an average losing margins points system there. So they're a 4-goal worse team than what the Suns were in their second year of AFL footy. Do we read a lot into that?
Well, what we read is, I think, 12 months ago, everyone was saying that the Giants have gone already past the Gold Coast Suns. They've leapfrogged them. Their development's a lot more advanced. Well, I'm not sure that's the case. I'm seeing a bit of the Suns that I like, and I think they're improving pretty quickly. The
crowds at GWS games too, twice in the past 3 weeks, have been around about the 6,000 mark, and that figures we haven't seen since Fitzroy was killed off in 1996. It's a worry, big worry for
It is a concern. Now, you personally replying the blowtorch to the Bulldogs last week, Damo, and they came out. I think
with reason,
your photo on the wall, and this is the way they won a really close game. It was a big win. Clearances 10-1 they were up in clearances in the last quarter. Matty Boyd, the skipper, getting involved, and a really important win for the Western Bulldogs, who just need a sign every now and then, Damo, that they are on the right path.
Yeah.
Look, they're going to have some horror moments over the next 2 years. I promise you that's going to happen. But occasionally, against a side that's also developing, you need to see a bit of this. And, with my Bulldog hat on, Damo, there was some real excitement about the way they played on the weekend.
There was, and you've used the word horror there, Das, to describe what will happen to the Bulldogs in coming seasons. Are we actually watching it unfold this year for the Saints? That word.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, there's a good article written on the weekend about the difference in message, and I think Scotty Waters at times has confused the St Kilda supporters because, at one period in time they're bullish about where they're heading, the next period of time they're rebuilding. And I think, not trying to pin Scotty Waters down, but I think with the Bulldogs, the president all the way through, they've actually explained, hey, we're in for the long haul here, this is the way we're going to go about it, and that to me makes a fair bit of sense.
One person you could never ever question at St Kilda is Nick Riewoldt, putting together a great season. Just a couple of instances here, Das. Look at the gut running here. Fumbles a kick into the forward line, admittedly, but just keeps running here, Das, and eventually gets it back. I mean, for this to be done in the fourth quarter of a game where he just runs all day, it just goes to show how much it means to this guy and maybe not to some others at St Kilda.
It's a classic of why the man's been a champion of the game. And Dale Morris was playing on him. He's one of the fittest athletes in the game, coming back from a significant broken leg. But he just works himself until he can no longer run anymore, Nick Riewoldt.
And even when the game was still potentially winnable for St Kilda, look at him here. He takes his mark and then Liam pickpockets it off him, doesn't he? It's a courageous effort, does it? It was a mark.
If you're going to try and explain Nick Riewoldt, you say one of the great gut runners of all time and one of the most courageous individuals we've ever seen play the game, and he's having a super year, and it's great to see. You
were textbook when you were having set shots at goal. One person who's not Josh Kennedy. This is getting worse, Das. It's a major problem now.
I actually find it a little disturbing to watch, to be honest with you. His arms are going now, so he's got the shake, and the funny part is he's leading the Coleman medal by 4 or 5 goals, so he's still able to stop them through. That one through about post-height. Jack Riewoldt's watching the games on the weekend. He's seeing a bit of humour in it as well, Damo.
He thinks it's funny, does he?
Does indeed. Is this the worst shepherd of 2013, Damo? Daniel Pearce, who's having a great year, by the way, hands it off. Now, it's like when you're in the under-9s and you're told to throw your arms out. Daniel, we've actually got to try and find someone. Dan Nicholson, a rare highlight for Melbourne, was a nice smother.
He just had a bit of a fun at Jack Riewoldt's expense. Let's have some more at his expense from Friday night. He thought he was pushed here, Das. He comes from 15 back, like Nick Natanui last week, but have a watch him here. He says the umpire was pushed.
I was pushed. This is why umpires never, ever listen to players, because, the funny, he actually is convinced that someone did push him. Sorry, Jack, no one within 15 metres of you. You've got to love Jack. Gives something every week. Damo, that's all we've got for Access All Areas for another week. We'll be back next Monday. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.